Welcome back to the Herbalist Hour. Today I'm incredibly honored and excited to have on Ric Scalzo. Welcome to the show, Rick.
Thank you. Happy to be with you.
Welcome to the Herbalist Hour. This is where community gather, merging the power of people and flowers, the sweet and the bitter to the salty, the sour. Umami, it's time for the Herbalist Hour.
Absolutely. Well, let's get it rolling here. Historically, I would really get to dive into the herbalist background, but I would love to get to that, but maybe later in the show. So for now, why don't we talk about this awesome new business, new project you got going on called Kakora? And I would like to start things off with just what's the farm like? How do you get your products from farm to bottle? What's that process like?
Yeah, so Kokora is a brand that has emerged as probably I don't know if it's the first, but let me just say it's the leading or a leading regenerative organic certified herbal brand now in the US. One of the things that I felt important to do is to, increase raise the bar on how we grow our herbs. And, I think that everybody knows about growing organically. And to grow organically, we grow largely without the use of chemical fertilizers and conventional amendments. However, when we grow organically, we raise the bar by attending to the microbiome of the soil. And we do that using bioferments, biochar, bamboo vinegar, compost, a number of very unusual types of practices, no-till farming, in order to really improve the tilth, the true tilth of the soil.
Mm.
And there's a whole story behind how that works. But that's one of the reasons why I started Kokora is if we can build a supply chain that's based on regenerative organic herbs that we grow in microbiome rich soil, and then as you alluded to, follow it all the way up the
Mm.
supply chain from the crude or native herb all the way up to the finished product of what you just held up
Mm.
in the finished product. Yeah, we can develop this in a way that's unprecedented. And that's a great example,
Mm-hmm.
Mason, how as we grow all this turmeric regeneratively, how we take it from the soil, grow the turmeric, harvest the turmeric, extract the turmeric in certified organic cane alcohol, then take the liquid extract and freeze dry it, which is unprecedented in the US.
Mm.
Freeze drying is a very pure form of drying, and it obviously doesn't use heat, and it basically doesn't use excipients.
Mm.
What we use instead of excipients is the crude herb. So we're taking the liquid extract and freeze drying it on a small amount of crude herb. And that's the real kind of secret sauce here in how we make these things so pure, without excipients, and concentrated
Mm.
beyond what others in the market are used to seeing, for concentration, what's on the market now. And there's also a special feature of how we're using bioferments with growing these herbs, which allow bacillus organisms to populate on the herb, which aids in the digestion. Bacillus is a species, Bacillus subtilis specifically, is a very necessary species of proper gut microbiome.
Mm.
Well, it just happens to be the dominant species of our plant microbiome. And so
So it's
when
like
we're,
a macrocosm microcosm situation there.
yeah, if you could say it that way, it's a beautiful thing to witness how we are collaborating with nature by working the soil. And the side benefit, that you and I participate in is that when we consume Kokora capsules, we are actively consuming in carbon drawdown because of the way these things are grown.
So pre-call, you were saying you've lived in Costa Rica for about 6 years. I want to say Kakora is probably going on a couple of years. You could correct me for however old this
Correct.
company is. But when you moved there, say 6 years ago, it would seem like Costa Rica would probably already have some really rich soil, but were you working on the soil on your land for years now in order to start this company?
Yeah, we started the farm about 5 years ago, and we went right to work on regenerating the soil. It was certified organic the first year, so
Hmm.
we didn't have to go through a transition period. But to get it regenerative certified, we got regen certified the second year, and we're now in our third year of regenerative organic certification by doing what we have doing. And there's so many things, that we can talk about in terms of nutrient density, nutrient upcycling from the soil, carbon sequestration, and all the beautiful things about changing soil quality.
I was listening to on a podcast yesterday. I want to say it was called the Honest Health Podcast. Am I getting that correct? I want to say
Yeah, yeah.
your buddy's the host over there, and you two were talking about like, okay, so organic was like the fad word forever, and you two were like, well, let's have regenerative organic be like the next step. Is this so? This is a real certification, if I'm understanding correctly. And did you help create this certification?
Not at all. It's an independent third-party certifying agency called Regenerative Organic Alliance,
Okay.
or ROA. They now certify hundreds of farms around the world through a regenerative organic process that they use for their inspection of farms. But they have different levels of regenerative organic certification: bronze, silver, and gold. And we are now gold because we
Congrats.
do, we do all of the different 15-point features of regenerative organic farming. But yeah, no, it's very independent and it's very broad, globally, recognized now.
Yeah, before we jumped on too, I was like, are they certified organic? Okay, so I'm seeing here you sure are. So that's pretty rad. Are you hopeful that the future of herbalism and farming, more and more companies are going to be reaching this certification?
Well, in order to be regenerative organic certified, you have to go through some steps.
Okay.
And they're not difficult, but firstly need to be certified organic.
Mm.
You need to operate a certified organic farm. Secondly, you need to be fair trade certified. So that means you need to have certification from fair trade or fair wild kind of organization, which we have been and still are. Then you can invite regenerative organic certification into the inspection process. And yeah, I think this is something that is going to grow.
Hmm.
more more and more awareness is surfacing on the term regenerative, and the term regenerative organic just kind of raises the organic bar very, very high.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the different practices that y'all operate with, and maybe make it practical for some of the listeners out there. My buddy Nick in Eugene, Oregon, they just bought this property, and there's tons of bamboo all over the property, and they're thinking about like removing some of it. And after listening to you talk, you're creating this biochar to help nourish the soil on their property potentially. Is this something that someone at home, not on say some beautiful companies such as Kakora, could operate as well? Can they create biochar themselves to help nourish their soil?
Yeah. I mean, it's a very simple process. Bamboo is so self-renewing, right? It
Mm,
grows fast, and we have a lot of it around our farm. And so when we cut it down, we cut it into 2 or 3 foot pieces and slice it, vertically so that we can get a good burn on it. And we just built these very simple burning vessels, incinerators, we call them,
mm.
and with an exhaust pipe. And so we're burning the bamboo to make the char,
Oh, simple
and
as
it's
that.
into small pieces. And then as part of the exhaust, we're collecting the exhaust residue, which is the vinegar. It's called bamboo vinegar, which has its own special benefit.
Mm,
So we get two byproducts from the way we do it. The biochar, by the way, we talk about carbon sequestration and how important it is for sustainability these days. The carbon in biochar is so stable that will stay in the soil, that carbon, for thousands of years compared to any carbon we might be sequestering from the atmosphere and from plants. It's like a volcanic eruption where you have all that new energy flowing into the soil um,
Mm,
from the burning of lava and then spilling the lava and then that decaying and then becomes very dark black soil. That's what we're creating.
wow.
And it's really amazing, Mason, to see how this goes to work. But what you don't see is what it's doing for the microbiome in the soil.
Mm. I'd love to hear more about the bioferments that y'all are using as well.
Yeah, bioferments are quite popular in Costa Rica. Many farmers know about how to make their own home preparations, and anybody at home, you're talking about making it simple, can make their own bioferments. And the way we do it is we go out to a forest, which we have bordering our property, and we collect some of the soil, some of the forest debris, and we combine it all together, chop up the debris, some of the debris from our farm, and we add rice semolina. So mix it all together, and that's sort of like the food for the yeast, for the ferment. Then we add molasses, which is the sugar to fuel it.
Mm,
And we add coffee hulls, the cascara from coffee,
mm,
and then we add cinnamon. And we mix it all together. It's a sticky paste, and we put it in a big sack and take that sack, tie it, and put it in a 200-gallon tank. And you can do on scale something much smaller in your home for your own garden. And then we let that ferment for 2 weeks.
mm,
And you should see the fermentation. You've got 6 inches of bioferment on the top, just brewing like
mm,
yeast. And then we mix it all together. The liquid becomes a foliar feed for the crops. And then we have an implement which injects the liquid deep into the soil. So we're applying this every day on our farm to provide the fuel for the beneficial organisms in the soil to multiply.
sounds like you're almost making beer or something, but
It looks like it when you look at that yeasty substance on the top.
do you happen to know what the purpose of the cinnamon in the ferment is?
Build resiliency.
Okay,
Yeah.
fascinating.
Cinnamon can help build resiliency and what's the right word I'm looking for? I want to say vitality, but it builds also the capacity, the reproductive capacity of the plant.
Is that like a traditional thing to do, add cinnamon to it?
Here in this area, it is.
Oh, very cool.
A lot of people know about bioferments with cinnamon.
Well, I saw on your Instagram, on Kokora's Instagram, which we'll leave a link to in the podcast show notes, of course. You're now a content creator, which that's pretty fun. But you started this series. I want to say it's like the Regenerative Organic series or whatever, and
Very
you've
good.
released
Yeah.
2 episodes now. So be sure to go follow Kokora on Instagram to get. Are there going to be more episodes of those coming out here in the near
There's
future?
8 of them, and we're going to go through each aspect of regenerative organic farming to
Okay.
educate people of what we do and how it's done.
Do you want to give us a sneak peek at what episode number 3 is going to be all about?
It's going to be about biochar.
Okay, cool. Well, that makes sense. All right.
Yeah.
Well, you heard a little sampling of it there. That's awesome. Quick break from the show to let you know that Rick and the Kokora crew are offering 15% off your first order to the Herb Rally audience. So if you want to check them out at kokoralife.com, you could save 15% off your first order with coupon code HerbRally15. And as you hear in the show, I use their products daily, basically. I love them. So check them out at kokoralife.com. Use coupon code HerbRally15 to save 15% off your first order. And also, a nice byproduct of this is you're helping support Herb Rally. So big thanks if you end up using the code. And now enjoy the rest of my conversation with Ric Scalzo. Talk to you soon. All right, well, cool. Why don't we, let's stick on Kakora for a little bit. Are people able to visit your farm, like as a tourism thing?
We do have some visitors coming in March. I mean, I have visitors often, but it's by arrangement. But in March, we're having some retailers who have won some retail contests that we did last fall. And we have some of our sales brokers coming. This whole thing about education is so important for our brand.
Mm.
So we're inviting some of these people down to visit the farm and see what it's like to be on a regenerative organic farm.
Do you think you'll ever host like an herbal conference out there?
Not out there, it's too remote.
Okay,
We don't
fair.
have facilities to host people in large scale, but in small numbers, a half a dozen at a time, yes.
Sure. Well, I actually received a guest question from a mutual friend of ours, Hannah Lasorsa, over at Herbal Content Cottage.
Yeah.
And Hannah was wondering, she asks, what new challenges has Rick had to overcome while launching Kakora that he did not face when starting Gaia? Which, by the way, dear listener, Rick is a legend in the space. You started Gaia all those years ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what challenges has Rick had to overcome while launching Kakora that he did not face when starting Gaia? I'm curious how the industry has changed.
Yeah, I mean, when we started Gaia, we didn't have a farm.
Hmm.
That's one distinct challenge is how do you build up a brand based on your own farming practices, which is not just farming, but it's a very high level of advanced farming. So that's one challenge. Two, when we really started to grow Gaia, I mean, even from the beginning up in Massachusetts, I had my own production, facility. Here we're using qualified co-manufacturers to do the work and
Mm.
have, to find them first to meet our standards and our specs, and then to develop all the proper paperwork, specifications, methodologies with them, and then compliance. That's not a challenge. It's just another thing we didn't have to kind of focus on because we had that sort of built in to at Gaia. But one advantage we have that I didn't have, it's not a challenge, but an advantage is I didn't have a research institute like we do now. The research institute in Arizona that
Mm.
we created, it's not exclusive to Kokora, but we use Kokora as a membership
Mm.
status for that with that institute to do RNA gene sequencing, which allows us to look at the gene expression that occurs on human cell lines with our extracts, with our products,
Okay.
and we do human bioassay cell line testing for anything from inflammatory markers to markers that predict sleep patterns, cortisol, hormonal function, so forth. Nobody's doing this kind of research. Nobody. And it's in vitro study, but it is giving direction for how these herbs will likely perform when they're consumed. So it gives the consumers, once we get this research published, it'll give the consumers a lot of confidence in why Kokora.
Seems like you've been all over the map. Were you with Guy at all when they were in North Carolina?
Yeah, I
Okay.
started in North Carolina.
All right, cool. And then we got the Arizona connection with the research center. Why is it based in Arizona?
Because when I started, well, when I went to school, it was through the Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine. The president of the college is good friends of mine. So when I sold
Hmm.
Gaia, we made the appropriate donation to build out this research institute. Now the college it's a university. It's no longer called Southwest College. It's Sonoran University of Health Sciences. So I have a very good relationship with this entity, this institution, and that's why we just stayed consistent with who I've been with all along.
Amazing. Well, I have to imagine starting Kakora was, well, I don't want to just presume for you, but probably based around your life mission, your life work. I was really curious, why start Kakora after such a successful career with Gaia?
Legacy wasn't over, you know, and it was a lot of it was had to do with this whole regenerative organic. It was just emerging.
Hmm.
We had done a large research on consumer demographics. We interviewed 25,000 people on the streets, so cold interviews.
Wow.
And they became essentially the demographics. And we learned, we called the demographics fondly Jennifer and Jessica because they represented who would potentially buy Kokora products. And they were the population of well-educated or educated uh, consumers who knew a lot about wellness, who practiced wellness, yoga, ate healthy foods, knew about organics, ate organics, took supplements, knew about herbs, and really participated in their whole wellness paradigm.
Mm,
And the age group was, we found, between mid 30s and mid 50s. And so we knew the demographics, but one thing we didn't know at the time is how interested they were in the term regenerative.
mm,
It became the driver of, if we were to start a brand, what would be the brand focus? What would be the core values of the brand? And it was clear, overwhelmingly clear, that it had to be regenerative if it was going to be something different and set a new legacy for myself.
mm. That's awesome.
And at the time, regenerative farms weren't the thing in the US.
Right. Um, well, I guess there's probably regenerative farms all over the U.S. now, eh? Or
Now there are,
yeah.
after 5 years, there are a lot of regenerative farms in different sectors, from herbal products, herbal, medicine type products, to food, to even rice,
Oh, good.
all kinds of products are being certified through regenerative organic certification.
Did you know that I worked for Mountain Rose Herbs for 11 years?
Did you?
Yeah, I did. So yeah, they're definitely a part of my history, and I'm just obviously they source from farms all over the world. I'm wondering. I actually have a meeting with them later today. Maybe I'll ask them about that. I'm curious if they're sourcing any herbs from regenerative farms such as what you're talking about.
I
But
think they contact Megan over there contacted us.
oh, cool,
And so we've had in the past a lot of conversations about being a supplier for Mountain Rose. It's
amazing.
just about getting our production up, on our farm, to both supply Kokora and other companies as well.
Well, shout out Megan. Yeah, she's a good friend of mine. So hopefully I get to see her today as well. But
Mhm.
y'all have, well, I'm just looking at probably maybe 12 different products right now that y'all have on your line. I'm sure I'm missing some, but I'm seeing cordyceps right here, which is a fantastic mushroom product. Um, I have to imagine, obviously, you're growing a lot of these herbs. You're not growing cordyceps, though, are you?
No, we get our mushrooms from, I don't know if you know the company, Namex.
Oh, I've
Um,
heard of them for sure.
Yeah, Namex, friend of mine, colleague of mine, co-executive with us at Gaia. He is the chief operating officer over there, well informed on mushrooms, and they have an extremely amazing network of growers that are certified organic. And we buy all of our mushrooms through Bill Chaffee at Namex.
I know that name too. All right, very good. But mostly everything else you're growing out there, say the ashwagandha. I saw you in that beautiful field of turmeric out there. So a lot of the plant products are coming from your farm then.
Yeah, all the single ingredients
Hmm.
for our single herbs and all of the ingredients that go into our formulas, except for the mushrooms, are regenerative certified organic on our farm.
And I was hearing on your podcast episode on the Honest Health podcast, a lot of the mushroom products you actually synergize or pair with a specific plant as well.
Yeah, you mentioned cordyceps there. That is paired with ashwagandha. And this is not by random why we chose ashwagandha with some of these uh, mushrooms that support a healthy immune response. But we did a lot of research at the Institute to justify what herb is best paired with a mushroom like cordyceps or turkey tail or lion's mane or reishi.
Mm.
So we wanted to add a synergy when we would, encapsulate the mushroom. We wanted a synergy that was regenerative organic certified. And so for lion's mane, we chose Bacopa.
Mm,
For reishi and turkey tail, and we chose ashwagandha, and for cordyceps, we chose mucuna seed,
mm.
which we grow on our farm as well.
Yeah, I heard on that interview you all are starting to grow it more vertically as opposed to flat to mitigate the snakes from collecting out there.
Yeah, well, we still grow mucuna in open fields
Mm,
as untrellised, if you will. But that's grown as a cover crop, so we can just let it die into the soil, and then rebuild the beds back up. But for production, our mucuna, for those that don't know mucuna, it's a great source of provides a great source of energy because it's naturally high in L-DOPA, which is a precursor to dopamine,
mm,
a natural transmitter in the body. And so it provides a lot of mental clarity and energy to the body. And because Mucuna is a vine that likes to grow, maybe 30 feet, we have one of the things, Mason, in regenerative farming is the promise that we're going to grow with biodiversity. With the biodiversity, we're growing about five different crops right now in the same field, and several crops like mucuna,
mm.
paro trees, passion flower, and turmeric in the same beds.
Wow.
And that's what the regenerative inspectors love to see, the diversity, because with that diversity, you have a diverse microbiome in the soil.
Mm.
That's magic.
I really want to try the Makuna. I've never tried it before. Is it a legume?
It is. It's in
Okay.
the legume family.
Yeah, I
Yes.
heard you talking about it being like a nitrogen fixer. So I was like, maybe it's a legume.
It's
But
in its early state of growth, it's a very dominant nitrogen fixer.
awesome. Why don't we highlight some of your products? I chose some, which I gave you ahead of time, but I don't know if you want to talk about some of the various different capsules. Maybe like you could talk about the growing process if you want, or some of the medicinal value. Why don't we highlight turmeric first?
Hmm. So the turmeric that we grow, we have been growing it for 4 years now. And when we switched over to Regen Organic, we noticed two things happened the very first year. One is we got the biomass, meaning the productivity, root size increased from 15,000 kilograms per hectare to 80,000 kilograms per hectare.
Holy
What
moly.
is that? Over 5 times increase in root production in the same size field, same field, in fact.
Mm,
That's unheard of. Second thing we noticed is that the curcuminoid content increased from 2.5% total curcuminoids to 8.5%. That's unheard of.
mm,
So that is amazing for the consumer who's consuming our turmeric, because it just means that as long as we protected the product through the extraction and freeze drying process, which we do, the consumer is going to get a much higher concentration of valuable activity, not just curcuminoids, but the turmerones, the volatile oils, the antioxidant properties, and so forth. So it's pretty amazing. And now this year, growing turmeric in a field with more biodiversity, we're going to take a look real closely at the microbiome of our turmeric roots and see how much bacillus is present with our turmeric roots, because that's going to probably equate to taking a capsule of probiotics with every capsule of turmeric root.
mm. Oh, I like that.
That's an added value for the consumer.
Yeah. Well, you've been in the industry long enough to know that marketing can be difficult because it's hard to discuss medicinal claims sometimes, but I'll just give you a little testimony for your turmeric capsules. So, dear listener, this is not a medicinal claim, but I'll just tell you what my experience was. So I take two of these a day as per the bottle, what the bottle tells me to do. But I'm an avid basketball player, and my knee was so inflamed one day after playing for like an hour and a half. I'm getting older, Rick. So
Here.
yeah, so my knee was just getting super inflamed, and I was talking to my good friend Rosalie De La Foret, renowned herbalist, and she's just like, you should do a heavy dose of the turmeric capsules, and I think I took 10 one morning, and I was fine and dandy after that the next day. So I want to say it's incredibly effective.
I mean, that's a big dose, Mason, but
Too much?
no, it's not too much. Two things come to mind.
Yeah.
One is I usually don't hear or hadn't heard in prior experience that turmeric works that quick.
Mm-hmm.
With Kokora's turmeric, I have heard from maybe 8 or 10 people very similar outcomes,
Mm-hmm.
getting results within a few days for knee inflammation, most recently shoulder inflammation, back pain and inflammation, and I'm really not supposed to use the word inflammation, but
Sure.
it's so profound to hear that, and you know, um, we don't need to do it with 10 caps. We can do it with 2 to 3 caps.
True. And I have been, like I mentioned, I do take it twice a day, and I do want to say, it's more of like a tonic in that regard, I suppose is how I'm using it. And overall, like my knee health has been pretty solid otherwise. It was just that one time that I did it. And yeah, maybe it was overkill, but definitely an effective, potent product, I'll say.
The other thing I put it on the label, you can read on the label to your consumers what I
Hmm.
say on the suggested use.
Oh yeah, suggested use. Take 2 capsules once daily with a meal. May help aid absorption if taken with healthy fats.
There's the secret.
Mm.
May aid absorption when taken with healthy fats.
Mm-hmm.
So why not think about taking your turmeric with avocado or with an oily type fish, something
Mm-hmm.
that is going to, or if you take fish oils, something that will aid in the absorption of the curcuminoids.
And props for including the black pepper as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just again to further support absorption.
Amen. Why don't you tell us about the 5 mushroom blend?
Oh gosh. So my mentor in Chinese medicine and I were talking about ancient Chinese remedies, and we always talk about longevity when we get together. And he had been doing a lot of research, and his research took him into some of the Tibetan literature, which 5,000 years ago talked about the use of these herbs that I made the 5 mushroom wellness, this combination. Um, and talked about, I mean, they were writing all these years ago about how these herbs specifically combined together would address what they called immortality. Now, we don't speak about that, but we do speak about health span and lifespan and about the importance of living a healthy life and a long life.
Mm.
5 mushroom wellness was designed to support your health span and your lifespan. And Mason, the trick about this is there are 3 components that this remedy addresses that are important to address for long life, long, healthy life. One is dampness, one is stagnation, and one is inflammation. These are the 3 pillars of disease.
Mm.
And 5 mushroom wellness does help us manage these 3 things: dampness, stagnation, and inflammation. And it does it in a very unique way. Each mushroom has its own feature. But the formula emerged from this recipe found thousands of years ago in Tibetan literature.
So yeah, we got turkey tail, reishi. I don't know this one actually. Felinus, if I'm saying that correctly. Golden oyster and poria. I know there's other 4, but yeah, Felinus is a new one. Yeah. Anything specific you want to say about that one?
Just reinforce what I just mentioned
Yeah.
about health span and lifespan, particularly Felinus has a long history of use for building a really robust immune system for helping support immune function. I do want to comment on golden oyster, or
Mm.
say yellow oyster or golden oyster on the label. I can't remember.
We got golden oyster. Yeah,
Well,
golden.
yeah, they're the
Yep.
same. But I do want to say something about that mushroom, and that there's a lot of evidence that this particular one, many mushrooms are high in a amino acid called ergothioneine.
Mm.
Ergothioneine is an essential amino acid, but our bodies don't produce it. We have to get it from our foods. The problem is ergothioneine requires a microbiome to be manufactured in the soil in order to be taken up into our foods.
Mm.
Certain foods have more of an affinity for ergothioneine, and that is legumes and mushrooms. But particularly golden oyster or yellow oyster mushroom is very high in ergothioneine, respectively. And ergothioneine is the essential amino acid which can increase your health span and lifespan,
Mm. Fascinating.
isn't it?
It is. I still got this one in the box. I haven't opened this one yet, but let's see. Regenerative stress support. So before you get into it, I have this like lengthy self-care checklist that I do every day, and it starts in the morning, and then I have my nighttime routine as well. And I'm trying to figure out when I throw this in my mix, do you think I should be taking this at night or more in the morning? Because I could make arguments for both probably.
Yeah, I could as well. But I think what you want to do is, you know, so can I give a little background
Please,
on
absolutely.
the thought process that goes into creating Kokora's formulations,
Absolutely.
starting with the man's whose research resulted in him winning a Nobel Prize on stress, Dr. Hans Selye. This is long ago. He said, and kind of follow me on this one, that there is no stress in life, only a stressful response.
Mm.
How we respond to stress determines its effect upon us. Quote, and end quote, from Hans Selye.
Mm.
Thus, he developed what's called the general adaptive response mechanism. And the general adaptive response mechanism talks about adaptation, how our bodies and our minds vacillate between parasympathetic state and sympathetic state.
Mm.
So the state of physiology and psychology that's in relaxation, or the state that's in fight or flight response. And so what happens is when we are exposed to stress, our bodies go into a state of alarm. This is the first response to any stress, whether it be speaking on a podcast or giving a public lecture, or like you're driving and you have to slam on the brakes. That's a stress response.
Mm.
And but if you have good adaptation, you're going to go through a mechanism where all that stressful hormones that are secreted, and cortisol and everything that happens in your blood sugar rates, all of that gets normalized over a short period of time.
Mm.
And your body goes back into a state of homeostasis or equilibrium. But let's say you or I didn't have good adaptation, you would then go eventually into a state of exhaustion. And when you're in exhaustion, all of your immune and vital functions are reduced. So you have less capacity for health span and lifespan.
Mm.
So what stress support does is it builds your adaptation. So when you talk about, should I take it in the morning? Should I take it at night? It can be taken either. There's no stimulants in there. There are just herbs that enable adaptation to take place in balancing parasympathetic and sympathetic support.
Beautiful. Well, I guess I'm good on either morning or night, so
Yeah.
I'll just throw it in the mix somewhere. Definitely some good herbs in here. We got a holy basil. Oh, you got two different types of holy basil products in here: Chinese skullcap, ashwagandha, and bacopa. All grown right there on Kokora's farm. I wanted to leave the fourth one open to you if there's any particular products that's a passion of yours or one that you take regularly. I'm sure you take all these regularly.
Well, the turmeric is my favorite, right?
Hmm.
And right now I'm taking the Kokora sleep support
Mm.
just because uh I tend, yeah, there you go. You have it there.
Yeah,
Okay.
I do take that one at nighttime. So,
And so that one is focusing on passion flower and
mm,
lemon balm, which are wonderful sleep support agents. And and then it's got Chinese skullcap in it, which focuses on maintaining a healthy liver function for healthy cortisol balance
mm,
in the 1 to 3 a.m. cycle. So let me try to explain. We have two cycles of sleep, sleep latency and sleep maintenance. Sleep latency speaks to how long it takes us to fall asleep. And if it takes us too long to fall asleep, we're just, our nervous system is too stressed out.
mm.
If we fall asleep within a minute, you're probably too exhausted, and
Touche.
yeah. So what is a good sleep latency? 5 to 15 minutes is probably good.
Yeah.
Many people go to bed and they're tossing and turning before they fall asleep because, subconsciously their mind is processing the day.
Hmm.
Then you have sleep maintenance people who wake up between 1 and 3 a.m. These people can't wake up, can't go back to sleep until maybe early in the morning until 4 or 5 a.m. And this is a function of the liver having to process all that we've consumed throughout the day. This is why Chinese skullcap is in there to help, maintain a healthy response so that our cortisol system maintains a healthy 24 cycle balance.
Mm.
So, there's a lot of logic of why we formulated with these herbs in order to address, the need for good sleep latency and good sleep maintenance. And that is going to lead to healthy REM sleep and deep sleep, which are two of the important cycles of sleep.
So yeah, obviously this would be an amazing support for someone to take before bed, probably an hour or two before bed. But I've also heard you talk about the importance of eating when the sun is at its highest, because then you're utilizing nature's energy to help digest. And I've got this aura ring that's I've been tracking my sleep with lately. Oh yeah, twinsies, I love it, and it's been fascinating to me. I've had a lifelong bad habit, which I didn't even know was a bad habit, of eating too close to bedtime. And now
Oh,
I've been it's so obvious to me now though, but I've made my last meal much earlier, and I've seen my sleep scores just skyrocket. So that's been fascinating.
so important, because why? Because if you're eating your biggest meal at the when the sun is highest in the sky, you have the power of the fire element
Hmm.
igniting your agnis of digestion, your digestive fire, to enable you to digest food properly and transmute the digested foods through the body for assimilation or the waste through excretion. And when you do that at 6, 7, 8 p.m. Or later, some
Yeah.
people eat later, you don't have the power of nature to support digestion.
Yeah, then you're instead of your body resting and focusing on sleep and repairing, you're just spending a lot of your night digesting the food that you unwisely ate too late. So, dear listener, if you're eating later in the night, I can attest to the power of cutting your meals back earlier, and the Aura Ring will prove it. It's pretty
Yes,
cool.
it is
Well,
cool.
well, we'll get back to some more Kakora stuff here in a few, but I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about your early days. I'm just kind of curious, what was a young Rick like?
Well, I was kind of lost, as many young kids are.
Sure.
I went to school, I went to college in Massachusetts, and I was studying philosophy.
Mm,
And this is an interesting story because it got me to study herbs. I went to through philosophy courses in college, not learning much about the origin of life, which is something I was really keen on. And I said, I've got to do something. So I went out one night and I meditated under the stars all night long to understand, to see if I could get an answer of who is God and
Mm,
what is the origin of life. And the only thing that came out of the blue, that if I wanted to understand the source of life or who God was, I needed to study plants. I needed to know plants.
that's
I
incredible.
totally did a 180
Yeah.
and changed my process of education. I eventually went to herb school, naturopathic school, all studied all my diagnostic procedures, and I became affluent in herbal medicine
In
and
quotes.
and and integrative diagnostics. I was very in my practice years. I saw over 10,000 patients during that time, and in
Wow.
my practice years, my primary tool, even though I was in a medical clinic and I had all the blood work and all the conventional diagnostic procedures, I used pulse diagnosis and
Mm,
medical iris diagnosis, not iridology, but a real, medical form of looking at the iris
mm.
for constitutional assessment, which was my gift. I really learned that extremely well, and I was able to apply that in a way that was so beneficial to patients and to formulating. So if there's anything I can tell you about Kokora formulas, they're based on a long, many, many years of clinical practice, diagnostic expertise, and using a multidisciplinary approach to formulating, the Kokora products.
Amazing. Do you want to shout out any, well, with that risk of like leaving certain people out, but do you want to shout out any of your original herbal mentors from?
Yeah, absolutely. But one of my big herbal mentors, naturopathic herbal mentors, he's no longer living, was Dr. Bill Mitchell. He was
Mm,
a very amazing man through Bastyr University
mm,
up in Seattle. Another mentor was Dr. Wade Boyle. He too is no longer living, but he was an incredible thinker, holistic thinker and influencer in my early days. I studied under the tutelage of Dr. John Christopher, who started the School of Natural Healing
mhm,
way back then, and he wasn't around either when I went to the school out in Utah. But his son David Christopher and his staff were extremely valuable in my learning, and so many other people on diagnostics. Harry Wolf and Bill Caradonna, who introduced me to the German method of iris diagnosis, and uh, studying. I was really fortunate to study subdoshic Ayurvedic pulse diagnosis from some of the best Vaidya's of India.
mm,
Um, these are just some of the people that have, and then there was all the colleagues that you probably know in our herbal industry, like David Winston,
mhm.
Ed Smith, Rosemary Gladstar. We have a long list of colleagues who were formative in those years around the herbal industry. And so there was a lot of collaboration with all those people.
I just had the pleasure of hanging out with all three of them at the International Herb Symposium. Is Kokori going to head out there one of these years?
Um, I I don't know. I
Yeah,
can't say that. I don't know.
for sure. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing. I always love hearing herbal lineages. I don't know why. I just always find it really fascinating. So that's quite the resume you got there. What does your current day to day look like, Rick?
Well, I live in Costa Rica
Hmm.
most of the time, except for the brunt of the rainy season. And I'm my. Do you want me to talk about my daily routine? And
Yeah, I would love to hear. Yeah, both maybe from a self care perspective, but also like what's it like running Kakora? What does a
yeah,
standard day look like for you?
so start with my personal routine, my wellness routine.
Yeah.
I get up early. We have an interesting cycle. The sun rises at 5 o'clock and sets at 5:30, 5:45.
Mm,
And so I'm up around 4:35 with the sun.
mm,
By 6:30, I'm in the yoga shala. And so I had already started heating up the sauna and filling up the cold plunge. And
Mm.
so I go while that's taking, heating up and filling, I go to the yoga shala for about an hour, and I start with yogic exercises that help to stretch out my spine. And then from there, I do some core training. And from there, I do some breathing, Uddiyana Bandha breathing exercises. Then I do this Chinese method of tapping
Mm.
the meridians and
Mm.
moving the stagnation out of the meridians from the head down to the feet. And after that, I do a series of um, uh, meridian self massage that touches all the meridian points in the body. And then I do Qigong, a whole
Mm.
series of Qigong exercises. That's about an hour and 20 minutes. And then I get into the sauna and I do 2 rounds of sauna and infrared sauna with 2 rounds of cold plunging in between. And then I'm ready for the day. And
And it's only 8 o'clock by then, probably.
and it's only 8 or 8:30 by then. And then in my exercise in the afternoon is getting in the pool and doing 50. I do aqua jogging and do 50 laps of aqua jogging in the pool. Then in between, 8:30 and say 5:30, I'm working Kokora.
Hmm.
And we have a remote team. And so every day we have a team video call, and I'm doing all the work on innovation and research, and I'm working the farm here in Costa Rica. So one day a week I go to the farm and assess all the crops and give inputs on farm practices. So I'm keeping very busy growing a company, interfacing with sales and marketing all the time.
Mm.
And today, just before I came on your show, I was doing a training for a group of retailers at one of our support accounts, Kimberton Whole Foods. And so these are the kind of things I do. And I keep an outdoor office as well, and overlooking the sea, and it's really nourishing to me.
Keeps you sane. Are you beholden to the computer, much like a lot of modern herbalists are, or you still get a lot of outdoor time as well, it sounds like?
Well, I keep my office outdoors,
Yeah,
so
that's one way to
there is,
remedy
but
that.
I have a computer in front of me. But I'm always looking up. I'm always taking breaks every half hour, to move my body, to break up the routine,
Yeah.
being sure I'm staying hydrated and all of the good things.
Mm. Well, you seem like the perfect person to ask this. I ask this occasionally on the show, but do you have any advice for the aspiring herbal entrepreneur out there?
Yeah. Um, yes, I do. And all herbal wisdom is not taught in books. It's
Mm.
taught by the plants directly.
Mm.
So as you go through your herbal processes, get out in nature, get with the plants, and create a state of mind and body that allows you to be receptive, responsive to the wisdom of the plant.
Mm.
More often than not, when you do that, you'll find that that wisdom is genuine, it's truth. And so that's one thing. And I think if you want to study herbalism, there are a lot of good people out there, as you know, who are doing it in ways that have a lot of integrity. So find a good one, find a
Mm.
good program to study. When I studied, we could not graduate with our herbal degree unless we knew the plants by their Latin name. We had to know all the herbs in the Materia Medica in naturopathic school, 160 herbs we had to identify in their powdered form by their Latin name.
Wow. Yeah, that reminds me. In my kitchen, I've got this beautiful, like, I want to say it's 8 by 3, so 24 different spots where I put my quart mason jars. And I know you're supposed to store it in the dark, but I like to see my herbs front and center. But all of the all of the jars labels are facing the other way so you could see the herb, and they're organized alphabetically by Latin name. So it's helped training me to recognize what those different powders and cut and sifted roots and herbs are. So yeah, I like that bit of advice right
Excellent.
there.
Yeah, excellent. And you relate to them, really, really, intimately that way. And I'm sure you're using a lot of these for teas and for cooking.
Totally. Yeah. It's funny because sometimes I'll just get an influx of all these herbs, and over the course of, the past 20 years doing this whole herbal thing, I've really refined what it is I actually use regularly. So yeah, pretty much everything I have there in my medicine cabinet is stuff that I use pretty regularly. Mostly teas, yeah, cooking, that kind of thing.
I have the same in my home in North Carolina where I have all these mason jars,
Yeah.
ceramic jars that I brought back from Italy, labeled and lined up with herbs. And just last week, I'll give you my chicken broth recipe,
Oh yeah.
which I do some pretty amazing magic with it. So I like the thighs, so I get a bunch of thighs with with whole thighs and with the bones in,
Yep.
and
Skin on.
yeah, and then to the water, I add 10 astragalus sticks.
Mm.
I add a nice handful of schizandra berries.
Ooh.
I add a full long Asian ginseng root that I chop up.
Mm.
I add these. I just brought back from my trip to China in November. I brought back some fermented aged tangerine peel, which is one of the best things for clearing dampness.
Mm.
So I add a few of these tangerine peels, aged and fermented, and then jujube dates, which also clear dampness. And so I do all that, and then after it's mostly done, I'll grate fresh ginger into it.
Mm.
And then when I pour it into my bowl or my cup to drink the broth, I'll add this wellness broth that my Chinese mentor makes, with astragalus, schizandra, jujube dates, poria mushroom, ginger, and one or two other herbs. I'll add a spoon of that into this broth. And it tastes delicious, by the way.
It sounds good.
And it is like a powerhouse of vitality infusion.
That'll get you going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it sounds incredible.
Well,
I've never thought to add
that's
just what's that?
Schizandra, but yeah,
Yeah, oh,
that's,
yeah, yeah.
if and I'm sure you have all of these in your kitchen,
Yep.
but
Pretty much.
that's how I use herbs in my cooking.
Mm-hmm.
And I would encourage your listeners who listen to you regularly to think about doing what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
because what you do every day counts.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's so cool. I'm gonna definitely try out throwing Shisandra in my broths as well.
Yeah.
Well, very good. We're just wrapping up here. You got a couple more minutes, Rick?
Yeah.
Awesome. What's next for Kakora and Rick? What's going on?
So Kokora is, I noticed that you had the black elderberry syrup, which we just launched. I just want to give a little tout for that, because that elderberry syrup has got amazing amount of concentration of black elderberries in it, more so than any competitor. And in addition to that, we add the equivalent of a full bottle of aronia berries.
Mm.
And so you're getting like two bottles, a bottle of black elderberry syrup that's more concentrated than competition, and a bottle of aronia berry syrup in one bottle. And the amount of antioxidant potential is enormous here. There you go.
A little live tasting. Mm. Yeah,
Isn't
it's
that
delish.
Yeah, and it's delish.
It's really delish.
It's
That doesn't
very
hurt.
potent
That
too.
improves compliance when it's delicious.
Yeah. So that's a very special product we just launched for helping to support the immune function. But next month, we're launching two more immune support products.
Hmm.
One is quick response, and the other one is total defense. So what happens at the time of onset, and how quickly can you respond? And what happens if you missed your opportunity and you need a more of a kind of an application for bringing the immune system back, after you've been or while you're sick, and bring it back quick.
Beautiful.
So total defense and quick response are our next two immune support products that will give us, and by the way, we've distinguished how and when to use quick response, total defense, and black elderberry syrup during this time of the year. This season brings a lot of exposure with it. So when do you take each one of these and how to take it? And so we've explained it through all of the research we've done at our institute, and it's profoundly interesting to see how each one works on different aspects of need state. So that's forthcoming with Kokora in the next month.
That's exciting. Yeah, I'm sure. That's probably one of your favorite parts about your job is the new formulations and just getting excited about all that. We haven't said the website yet. It's kokoralife.com. Of course, the listeners are trained to look in the show notes anyways, but it's Kokora, kokoralife.com. I lied. I actually have a different question I want to ask you now. Where does the name Kokora come from?
Good question. It emerges from Japanese culture, Japanese literature. From the root kokoro, we wanted to make it a little softer, so we named it Kokora.
That's cool.
And Kokora implies that it nourishes the heart, mind, and spirit, and something which I think speaks to my ambition with this brand.
Love it. Well, this has been a pleasure, Rick. Any parting words of wisdom or anything else you'd like to say before we wrap up and get out of here?
Well, Mason, since I've studied blue zones all around the world, but more recently in Italy, the 3 blue zones in Italy, I have a couple of takeaways to share. One, aside from the obvious, the Mediterranean diet as practiced in Europe is probably the healthiest diet for us. So you can do your research and your listeners can look at that from a Mediterranean perspective. But 2, the importance of maintaining your ikigai. Your ikigai is your life purpose. What is your life purpose? What are you good at? What can you support yourself with that's all aligned? And what are your values with that purpose in life? Know those things and live those things every day until your last breath. 3rd is stay in community, stay connected, and build your network of friends, family, connections that can be sustained throughout life. And 4th, stay active, and not necessarily going to the gym, but keep your body in movement, keep in motion every day. Those are the things that I think are probably the most important things I can share for living a regenerative life.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much, Rick. I would actually love to have you back on the show. We could go deep in the blue zones. That'd be amazing. But that was a nice that'd be amazing. So, well, very good. One more time, that's kokoralife.com. Really appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us on the Herbalist Hour.
Yes. Thank you, Mason. Appreciate all your time and beautiful questions.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for watching today's episode of the Herbalist Hour. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want more great herbal content, be sure to subscribe to our Herbalist YouTube channel. If you enjoy these Herbalist Hour episodes and you'd like to join us live, you can do so by becoming an Herbalist Schoolhouse member. Learn more at herbalist.com/schoolhouse. And if you want to get your first 30 days for free, use coupon code YouTube30 at checkout. So our Herbalist Schoolhouse members get access to exclusive video classes, monographs, and a lot more herbal community discounts, along with joining these live Herbalist Hour interviews. So one more time, herbalist.com/schoolhouse. Enter coupon code YouTube30 at checkout to get your first 30 days for free. All right, we'll see you in the next episode and take care.